guys, so I just got done filming a video for my beauty channel on tiny dainty rings, and I thought I would do a video also for my second channel, this channel, talking about something that I actually get a lot of comments about on my Glitterature videos. And so I thought I'd make like a special Glitterature type video, but it's not on a book, it's just about reading in general, because a lot of times on my Glitteratures I'll get comments from people that are like, you know, I love watching your Glitteratures and you make reading sound like so much fun, but I hate reading. What are your tips for enjoying reading more? First of all, I will say that I think reading to an extent is a little bit of a natural desire. So like people that are very avid readers normally have always been that way. So they've loved reading even as a kid, but that is not always the case. And even if you've always hated reading, you can still get into it if you know what to read. I think a lot of people that hate reading hate it because being forced to read is one of the worst feelings in the world. Even as someone who loves to read, I hate being forced to read something I don't want to read. So I can imagine for people who don't even enjoy reading how awful that must be in school. Like, we had to read this book called A Separate Peace in high school, and it was one of my least favorite books I've ever read in my entire life. And I think because you have to read it for school, if you start it and you don't like it, you can't just put it down like you could a regular book. If you are an adult, or even if you're in school still, but you want to start reading for fun, you like the idea of it, you've just never enjoyed it, these are my two biggest tips. My first one is to read something that you absolutely are interested in. Don't read what you think you should be reading for your age group or what's cool at the moment. I think that's a mistake that people make, is they try to read what's mainstream, and you might be like a really small niche reader. Like, you might want to read about the wars in Russia. I just made that up. I don't know. I would go to the bookstore and I would go through every single aisle. Like, just go up and down the aisles and like whatever grabs your eye, maybe grab off the shelf, and then at the end, when you have however many books you have, it might be that only one section of the store interests you. It might be that you find out you have a lot of interest. It doesn't have to be a novel. It can be like a nonfiction historical book or a biography or a picture book on interior decorating. A lot of times on my Glitteratures, I get comments like, why do you only read from the young adult section? Like, why don't you branch out and read classics and stuff? And I do read classics, but honestly, I like young adult books. Like, I read it because I enjoy it, because I read for fun. I don't read because anyone makes me, and I enjoy young adult fiction. I do read a lot of historical fiction based in like England. Like, I read all of those, like The Other Boleyn Girl, that whole, basically every book that author's written. I have a ton of Glitteratures on that. So again, that's kind of like a little niche interest that I have that's like really random compared to the young adult section. Buy a book that you are interested in, and you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, and you don't have to answer to anyone why you want a book on a certain thing, even if it might not be cool. My second tip is start a new routine where every night before bed, 15 minutes before the time you would normally turn your light off and like put your head down and try to go to sleep, just open the book you bought from the bookstore and just try to read for 15 minutes. And if you hate it, put your book down. What I do is I always make reading really pleasurable for me. So I'll go downstairs and make like a hot cup of tea, and I'll put like fuzzy socks on, and I'll come up to my room and I'll get like really snuggly in my bed, and sometimes I'll turn the air conditioning like a couple notches colder so that my room is just like, my bed is just so warm and snuggly, and then I'll read. And I feel like I'm in this little cocoon of like happiness and no one can touch me. And sometimes I'll read for 10 minutes and be like out like a light bulb, and sometimes I'll read for hours and like finish the book and then be a zombie the next day because I've gotten so into the book. I think if you just kind of make an effort to read for a little bit each night, and if you hate the book, then you're reading the wrong book. Like, go try something new, but just kind of like start making it a pleasurable routine. Sometimes I read in the bubble bath. That's another thing that I really like. Everyone always asks me, how do you not get your book wet? I don't know. I just don't get my book wet. Like, I don't get my hands wet or my arms. That might be part of it. And I read my book and I don't splash, so I don't get it wet. And then I put it down when I want to like get my hands wet. I don't know. I'm saying a lot because I didn't like plan this video at all. So I'm kind of just like going with my train of thought. It's like a little wave. but I've always loved reading, so I don't really know how to explain to someone who hates reading how to enjoy it, other than saying that I do understand it a little bit, because I hated reading when I'm being forced to read a book. I hated those books just based on probably the principle of the fact that I'm having to be forced to read it. But I don't think I would have liked A Separate Peace, even if I had picked it up at the bookstore on my own. If you guys have any more questions associated with like reading or books or something, I can do other like little question videos kind of like this one. Normally my glitteratures are going to be either hauls or book reviews, but every now and then I think it's nice to just talk about it. I love reading, so I always want to like talk about it. My dad and I always read the same books. I'll read a book and then I'll give it to him, and then he'll read a book and give it to me, and we've always, ever since I was little, we've always kind of gossiped about books. So it's nice to have someone to talk to about it. That might be another tip number 3. Find a reading buddy that can gossip with you about the book. Maybe read the same thing, or that might make it seem a little bit too forced. So maybe just let it, you know, just talk in general, or I don't know. Anyway, those are my 3 little tips and my ramble, my vlog ramble. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My phone is ringing. Can you hear it? It's vibrating. I stuck it underneath my pillows because it was ringing earlier when I was filming my ring video, and I was like, stop making noise in my background. So I stuffed it under my pillows back there, but I can still hear it. It's like never ending. It's relentless. It's a relentless cell phone. So, yeah. Okay, well, that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.